What is up? So that strategy that I came across accidentally of trading scrap.tf for level 100 items and then selling them at a markup, honestly, I think that's my best bet right now. So I went ahead and got some more level 100 items, which I'm going to attempt to sell each for 2 scrap. And I also got this shit-ass level 5 fighter saw, because there were no more level 100 weapons on scrap.tf. So this is just filling up inventory space, I guess. But yeah, that's the plan for now. Hello. So the previous episode, episode 1, was predominantly live commentary, which has its own charm, its own pros and cons, but for this episode I decided that I would do most of the commentary as post-commentary after the fact. So what you just saw here is me trading 2 level 100 items for 7 weapons. I wanted 8, but he refused to do 8. He was initially offering 6, but I managed to meet halfway for 7. So once again, began with 2.5 scrap, and now I have what, well, a bit more than 2.5. Then for most of this episode, I actually returned to the strategy that I hypothesized in the first episode, but I wasn't able to do it for some reason. You know, I couldn't find anyone willing. But this episode was a huge success, and that's very simply buying trading cards for 1 scrap each, and then selling them for 1 reclaimed each. I was able to do that many times, and I turned a huge profit. Now, as you can imagine, it didn't take long for me to amass 3 reclaimed, or, as you may have heard it otherwise described, 1 refined. I know. In the bigger picture of things, 1 refined is really not worth all that much. You know, at the time of making this video, 1 key is worth 44 refined, so certainly in the big picture, 1 measly refined is hardly worth anything, but it's still an important milestone in my eyes. Alright, hopefully it'll be the first of many more to come. And as you've been watching the footage for a while, you can probably see that I have a Dr. Woe equipped on my spy. Believe it or not, I actually got this from the random drop system. Alright, so I've been deleting all the weapons that I get from the random drop, because this I don't want the drops to affect the trades, right? I only want to trade up. I don't want to acquire items from the drop system. So I've been deleting the weapons, but I'm not going to delete this, because it's a hat, right? Well, it's not literally a hat. It's a cosmetic, right? So I'm not going to delete it. I'm going to wear it so that I can look cool, but I'm not going to use it in any trades. So the next trade that I make is to buy 7 trading cards for 1 scrap each, and then sell those 7 trading cards for 1 reclaimed each. Obviously with different people and in different servers. So yeah, most of the profit making that I did in this video was just flipping trading cards, buy for 1 scrap, sell for 1 reclaimed. And now with that trading that I did, this is the backpack that I have at the end of this episode. So I've got 2 level 100 weapons that I haven't been able to sell. The minigun and the thermal thruster for the pyro. I've got 1 righteous bison, which is just sort of neither here nor there, just half a scrap basically. Then the beggar's bazooka. There is a guy that said he wanted to buy it, but he didn't have a mobile authenticator yet. So he said he was gonna contact me again when he eventually gets it. Frankly, I expect him to forget about it. So realistically, you know, what I'm expecting to happen at this point is that the Righteous Bison and the Beggar's Bazooka, I'm just going to craft them together into a scrap. And then the minigun and the jetpack, I'm just going to trade to scrap.tf for 1 scrap, because I just haven't been able to sell them. So, 2 refined, 1 reclaimed, 2 scrap, and then potentially another 2 scrap if I give up on selling these other 3 items. And then of course the little Dr. Woe that I got is a random drop. Of course that's not part of the trades, but it is in my inventory now. So then, well, the trading in this episode is finished. There's no more trading left. But there was one last thing that I wanted to say, which I wanted to say in the first episode as well, but that video ended up being so long that I didn't want to bloat it any more than it already was. But this video is much shorter. It's, less than half the length, so I feel comfortable putting it in at the end of this. That is to say, what exactly is the goal of this series, right? I mean, obviously, scrap to unusual, right? So the goal isn't unusual, but that's a pretty vague goal, because we have unusual weapons, we have unusual taunts, and we have unusual hats. The traditional, the classic, what I think people think of when they hear unusual. At least me, I think of a hat. So what is the goal, right? I mean, I know I made the joke in the first episode of me picking up the unusual weapon, and like, oh, I got an unusual, guys, it's over. No, the goal is specifically an unusual hat, right? I think unusual weapons are ugly and lame. I think unusual taunts are whatever, right? I don't really care about them. But I do like unusual hats, so that is the final goal. So then you might say, well, there's like 600 hats that can be unusual, and there's like 70 or 60 different effects that a hat can potentially have. So even then, saying you want an unusual hat is also vague. Well, I'll clarify that. The answer is actually in the thumbnail of these videos, right? It's an unusual salty dog with haunted ghosts. And the reason for that is very simple. The salty dog is my favorite hat, and haunted ghosts is my favorite effect. Pretty simple combination of my 2 favorite hat and effect, respectively. So yeah, that's the tentative, subject to change. That's the final goal of the series.